What's up, YouTube? Finally able to bring you the video that I've been wanting to do for a while, and that's my full honest review of the Holley Sniper EFI that I have on my 72 Monte Carlo. It's been on my car since about May or June of 2019, and this is just my pros and cons of like from buying the system all the way through install. So I'll preface this video by saying it's not an install video. Not that I don't know how to install it, but I just preferred that somebody else did it at the time. I had a lot of other stuff did too. But this is just my review, and I think I'll start with the pros. So I think my number one thing that I like the best is having this on the car is I don't have to do what I normally do with a carburetor, where you sit there and have to pump the gas before you get it started. The cool thing about this is fuel injected, so you let the fuel pump prime and it cranks right up, and I'll demonstrate that right now actually. So put the key in, let it prime, and that's my radar detector starting up. Cranks right up with no problem. And I'll insert a video clip, but even when it was really cold outside, it can be 10 degrees here in Chicago, it'll crank like that every time. Now on a very cold start, it takes a few revolutions for it to actually crank. And I'll, like I said, insert a video clip so you all can see that, but cranks right up every time. So that's my number one pro that I like about it. The second thing that I like about it is having the 3.5-inch screen. And I think Holley recently came out with like a 5-inch version, but I think this is good for what I'm trying to do and then like in my car. Now, to go back a little bit, this is just a stock 350. Nothing done to it crazy. I've went through and updated all the gaskets and stuff like that, but for the most part, that's about it. So what I like about this is that you can see when each fan is on, or each, like in this case, each fan is off. And then you can go in here and go to tuning, system, go to your outputs, and that's what the parameters I have for both fans. So 200, 195 off for the first one, second fan 205, 200. So you can set whatever parameters you want. Another little nifty feature that I played around with, I have to find it in these settings, but you can set the RPM according to the temperature. So let's just say it's 10 degrees outside, and when you crank it, you originally wanted to be at 1500 RPM for whatever reason. And then as it warms up, you can go ahead and have the temperature go down, have the RPM go down as it warms up. Let me see if I can find it for you real quick. Here it is here. So it's pretty much the idle curve. So you can see once I hit 140, the RPM is down to this range here. When it first starts up, you never get down to -40 here, but when it first starts up, maybe around in the dead of winter, or even like at 20 degrees, you can see right where the RPM is. So, and it just comes down as it warms up. So, and you can set this wherever you want it and then click save. There's a lot that you can do with this screen too. So just to try to walk you through some of it, you got your different type of sensors, vitals. You can set up, I guess, custom dashes, you can call them, like exactly what you want to see. So like dash 1, this is what I set up, like the things I would like to see while I'm driving. And it says stall now because the car's not running. And then vitals kind of looks the same, I think. I think I copied this actually. Yep, and here's dash 3, I believe. Battery voltage, current learning, all that stuff. Sensors. And then if you come back, go to tuning, basic. You can set up your basic fuel. And I'm not like really savvy with like fuel or anything like that, but you can set up your target AFR at cruise, acceleration enrichment, fuel prime, basic idle, and that's why I have it set now at idle. Spark. Let's see. Engine setup. So 8-cylinder 350 cam type stock. Sniper setup. That's the type of system it is. And a lot of this stuff is put in like right when you do the setup wizard when you first, well, before you first crank it after the install. Ignition setup. Static timing. And then, of course, you can run your data log. So when I was having that small RFI issue that I was telling you all about, I would pull the data log. And like I said, I'm savvy, but I'm not savvy enough to know what I was looking at. So I did reach out to some guys who knew what they were talking about. And the thing about the car community, whether it's Facebook, the online forums, you come across some very knowledgeable guys. And even if some guys are not really knowledgeable, they will try their best to help. And sometimes, to be honest with you, you really do just come across jerks. So I guess you get that in anything that you do. But sometimes, if I done researched like crazy and I just can't find an answer, I will seek out help online. And sometimes I hate to, because you know, you get people who answer like jerks, but for the most part, you get some very helpful guys. And like I was saying, like the wizard, go back. The wizard, so that's the system I'm running here, and I don't want to do the wizard, of course, because it's already set up. You go to file, you got your ECU overview, and maybe for me, it's maybe time for a firmware update. Like I said, I haven't did anything with it since 2019, and you know, I think I'm just kind of scared to update anything, because if it's not broke, don't fix it. That's how I feel. And then your local setup. So this would be like your touchscreen calibration, your options, and all that good stuff. Screen brightness, and I got it on 10%. And this joker will get very bright. It almost look washed out now through the video. So I'll go back and put it on 10%. Then local info. But yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it. Oh, it's one more. If you go to tuning, I think you can do advanced. Nope, advanced 2. So that's where you can do your launch, your idle, 2-step. Come on, there we go. And then I'm trying to figure out where I can find the nitrous setup. Let's see. Okay, here it is. So you go Super Sniper, and it says you this feature requires the use of a Sniper EFI software for initial configuration. Okay, and then that's where you can do your nitrous, your boost, and advanced ICF. And honestly, I don't know what that means. So that's why I say out of the screen. I don't have nitrous, I don't have boost. Just a regular stock 350, but I do feel like it was a major improvement over having a carburetor. And I'm not speaking bad on carburetors, it's just that I'm 34 and I haven't been around carburetors a lot. So that's why I opted to go with the EFI. Now, there are guys out here who knows how to tune their carburetor like crazy, and it'll crank just like this would. But, you know, I just didn't want to deal with it at the time. And then along with the Sniper EFI, I do have electric fans now. I really do like them. And, you know, everything's been working out great so far. And like I said before, I know that I put a lot of cons, but I think the drivability I've had since then, it really outweighed the negative. Another thing I like about the Sniper is super responsive when you're riding on the road. So hit the gas just like a carburetor, just like when you want it, it's there. And like I said, it's not a super fast car, nothing like that. It's a stock 350, but I just put these little upgrades in it. And then if you didn't know what you were looking at, it kind of still looks like the original Quadrajet that was sitting there, because I got the same, you know, goldish looking finish that was on it. But I really like the way the whole install came out. As far as gas mileage goes, I can't speak too much on gas mileage because I wasn't keeping track when I had the carburetor versus now. And a big car like this and you having fun driving it, you're not worried about gas mileage anyway. So the last time I actually calculated it, it was 12.9. So if that is important to anybody. So gas mileage is not going to be the best. Now let's get to the cons. And I don't know which order I'm going to put this in, but here they go. So, and I guess I can go in the order of like which it happened. So after it was installed, the throttle was like very touchy. Like it was either like all the way there or no throttle at all. Like you put your foot down and you had all the gas. So to solve for that, Holley has a bracket that you can buy separately. And my only gripe with that is you spend however much money you spend on these systems. I think mine was $1,200 or $1,300 at the time. You spend all this money on it. I just personally feel like everything you need should be in the box. And I'll just show you guys what I'm talking about. Take the air cleaner off. So this little guy here, this bracket here, honestly, I forgot how much I paid for it, but without this bracket, it's kind of hard to see, but your throttle is pretty much hooked in, I think right here. And that made it like pretty difficult to, like, the drivability sucked. I'll just be honest with you. So after I bought this bracket, what it pretty much does is changes the geometry of your throttle cable. So it just changes the position a little bit. And now the throttle is spot on. Like if I want to give it a little bit of gas, I got a little bit of gas. If I want to put my foot in it a little bit more, I can put my foot in it without having to worry about, am I about to hit something or like not be able to control the throttle. So that was my first gripe with it. Okay, my second gripe is about, I want to say a year after I got it installed. It was 2020 when it happened, but I was out driving one day and one of the injectors went dead. And I knew something was wrong right from when I was driving around. Like it didn't have as much pep as it usually does. Like it's pretty peppy to be an old car, stock motor. So when I got home, I actually came to the Sniper and took the filter off, and this back left injector was actually not firing. And I'll throw up a video real quick and show you some pictures of how that looked. This injector was not firing at all. And of course that would happen right when I'm out of warranty. So what I did was went on Facebook, went on some of the forums, and they were saying how to resolve it and telling you why it's happening pretty much. So from the factory, these Sniper systems, some of them, the connections for the injectors, they're not connected all the way. Like not pushed in all the way or not seated all the way would be a better way to say it. So what I did was, because there's two injectors on each side, what I did was came over here and this Allen here and this Allen in the back, you can't really see it, and took the side of this unit off, and then I was able to push the plug in a little bit more. It already seemed like it was seated, but I pushed it in like crazy, carefully, didn't bend anything or nothing like that. Pushed it in and then put everything back together and cranked it up, and it was fine. Now I want to say about a month or two later, it did the same thing. So at this point, I'm thinking, okay, maybe I should send it in to Holley. But I went ahead and just took it apart again myself. It was the same injector. So this time, I made sure it was tight. And somebody recommended just put a small zip tie on it. And the zip tie did help. I haven't had any issues since then. I heard one guy, he put shrink wrap around it. Not shrink wrap, but like the heat shrink tubing. He put that around his and it was just fine. But that was probably my biggest gripe with it, because it happened right after the warranty was up, and I was hearing rumors that to send it back to Holley just for them to see what was wrong with it was maybe about $250. But lucky for me, I don't mind getting a little dirty and mind figuring stuff out on my own, and I just went ahead and took it loose and got to it. Now, like I say, I want to reiterate that this is not a bashing video at all. This is just strictly like my experience with it, me living with it since 2019. Another gripe that I have is they sell it as an out-of-the-box system that'll run right out of the box. It self-tunes itself. And I feel like that's partially true. And maybe I was a little naive to think that, oh man, it self-tunes and I can just get in and go. It's far from the truth. I know a lot of guys, they'll have somebody do like a remote tune, or if you're near somebody that knows how to tune, they can probably get it dialed in a little bit more for you. But for the most part, you have to drive around. I forgot how long I drove around to just get it to tune, and you know, I'm on the highway with it a lot. I drive this car on the highway a lot, actually. Just street cruising and everything. And I know during the early days when I had it, it actually cut off on me at a light maybe 2 or 3 times. And I'm not sure if that was something with, like, it was still learning or something like that, but it hasn't did that since like 2019. And honestly, my experience with it overall, once all those kinks are worked out, I mean, it runs fantastic in my opinion. From an install standpoint, like I said, I didn't do the install, but from an install standpoint, I see a lot of guys tell people, make sure you follow the directions exactly how Holley has them outlined, because that'll guarantee the best result that you can get. But other than that, I had no big issues with it. I mean, that injector not working at one point, or the connection not being as tight, you know, I guess stuff like that happens. But I feel like it goes back to, if I spend that much money on something, I feel like it should be like perfect out of the door. And I know that's kind of almost impossible to say you want something perfect, but it should have everything included with it. It should have any defects. And I know if they make replacement parts for it, nothing's built to last. I get that part, but you have a higher expectation when you spend that amount of money on something. Is what the short of it is. But overall, I'm pretty happy. I think the biggest thing for me is that it cranks right up in the dead of winter. Like, not that I drive this car a lot in the winter. If it's dry with no salt, yeah, I take it out around the block a few times. And I know it's a debate among people, but in the wintertime, it does sit. And I do crank it up maybe every 2 or 3 days just to get everything circulated and moving. But people have their own opinions on that too. Another issue that I read that a lot of guys were encountering was RFI issues. And I don't think I'm the best person to try to explain the RFI issues, but I've seen some people put aluminum foil on the front of the ECU. Some people made a shield. At one point, I do think I had some type of some type of RFI interference, but one night I took everything apart as far as like all the wires and just kind of reran the wires a different way, and I haven't had any issues since. Because my RFI issues, I think, was it can just be sitting there idling, and then randomly my RPM will just jump up and stay there. Maybe it'll just sit at like 2,000 RPM for some reason. To this day, I don't know why it did it, but it hasn't done it since, like I say, about a few months after I got it, and I sat there and took all those wires back loose. But yeah, that's pretty much my experience with it. I didn't want to make the video too long. I just wanted to give people some insight from like more so from a owner's perspective, just driving it every day and getting on the highway. Like I said, I drive this car on the highway a lot, and I've done a lot of other things to it, and I do want to give you all another review of the Dakota digital gauges that I have in here, just to give you like a quick peek at them. Come on. I have the temperature, the outside temperature, and I got the compass hooked up to it too. And got my cigarette lighter charger. Just put a lot of updated touches on it, like nothing too over the top, but I needed to be able to charge my phone. That was a big one. So yeah, I'll try to bring you all the review of the gauges. I really like those. They a nice touch. I'm trying to think of anything else I can tell you guys, but I guess I can give you a good look at the car. Yep, had this car a long time. It was my dad's since 2004, and I got it back in 2018 because he pretty much got tired of it. He wasn't really driving it and all that, so that's when I stepped in. But yeah, if you all got any more questions about it, I'll try to answer them to the best of my ability and share your experience with it too. I just would like to know what everybody else experienced with the Sniper. So one final look. Another thing that I would like to add is that I do have my original gas tank in, and I opted to keep the electric fuel pump, and just ran along the body of the car on the passenger side. And the reason I wanted it that way was if I ever have to change it, and don't get me wrong, dropping those gas tanks, it's not super difficult, but if I ever had to change it, it's right in my face. I can do it in a matter of minutes probably. So do have my original tank, didn't buy a new tank, didn't need it. Fuel pump ran along the side of the car, and instead of using the fuel lines that came with it, the normal rubber ones, I have some nylon fuel lines, and that's about it. But like I say, I know it probably was a lot of cons in the video, but driving with it over the years and the point where I'm at now, where just a good driver, I haven't had any issues out of it, I think those kind of outweighed the cons. A lot of my issues were, you pay so much, everything should be included. You shouldn't have that much of a headache after the install. So I got one more little con that I had when I first started really driving with the Sniper. You put your foot in it, or you just giving it a good amount of gas, I would hear like an audible whistle. It almost sounds like you got a big turbo sitting on your car. But to solve for that, I got these gaskets and spacers, right? And I think it had two of these in there. So you put this one down first on the intake manifold, and then this one goes on top of that, the little spacer. And then let's pretend this one has the 4 holes, like that. And the whistle completely went away. So, and I don't know, I guess that just boils down to like a preference thing. But I freaking hated to hear it, so this solved the problem. And if anybody wants to know the part number, maybe I'll pop it up on the screen. I'm not sure if that's the part number or not, but it's made by Mr. Gasket. And that solved that whistle issue. I also have like the full QA1 suspension on here now. Got rid of all the old stock suspension. I keep all the parts though, but I got the QA1 sway bar, upper and lower control arms, QA1 shocks. I do have the Moog springs, tie rod ends and tie rods, the sleeves, the springs are, yep, like I said, the springs are Moog too. But when I tell you it's been a night and day difference with driving this car on the highway, it completely transforms this car. It sits up better in the front because the old springs were like so worn out. I used to be able to walk up to the car, and the shocks were worn out too. I used to be able to walk up to this car and like it'll shake pretty easy, but now It's a little stiffer. Like, it still moves, but it's not as easy as it used to be. It takes bumps really well. It really transformed the look, and I'll throw some pictures up so you all can see that. And I got the Willwood dual piston brakes up front, the calipers I should say, and it did come with the pads. And if you have a GM car like this year, I believe, or like the A bodies, or any GM that takes those, like they all got share the same caliber. Those are D52 Willwood calipers I have. They went right on. All I did was like replace the brake line with a metal line, but there was another preference I wanted, but they went right on with no problem, and they stopped a lot better. So that's just a few of the things I've done to it. That suspension alone was worth it, man. But yeah, that was a good upgrade. If you all like the videos like this, well, I just give my short review. Just, you know, like, comment, subscribe, and just let me know what you think. Thank you for watching.